Hi, Eva Nichols here. So I am back with this video that I promised you, where I'm going to reveal the 12 colors that I have in my new palette. I have added on 6 colors that I have carefully chosen to add to the Daniel Smith's Essential Watercolor set that I talked about in my previous 2 videos. I have made a color chart with just the 6 colors from Daniel Smith, and also a color wheel and some color mixing from this set. And now here are the 6 additional colors that I have chosen to complete a 12 color palette. I have chosen cobalt blue, indigo, nickel azo yellow, burnt sienna, quinacridone coral, and finally permanent magenta. And 3 of the colors are from Winsor Newton, and that would be the indigo and the burnt sienna and the permanent magenta. You can certainly use Daniel Smith colors as well, or any other brand for that matter. So I'm going to swatch out these colors here, and I will explain as I go along. I have interrupted my color swatching at certain spots, so you don't have to watch the whole swatching. That would be way too boring. But I hope this is helpful, and I look forward to seeing any comments you might have. Alright, so you can see it's moving along. I'm working on the cobalt right now, and I am down to nickel azo yellow, which is one of the new yellows that I added, and let's give that a try. It's a lovely, very transparent yellow, whereas the other yellows that I had in the Daniel Smith Introductory split primary colors, they are, both the new Gamboge and the Hansa Yellow Light, they are semi-transparent. So with the nickel azo yellow, I get a nice mid-range, kind of in between warm and cool yellow that is completely transparent. That's why I love that color. And it's actually also one of the colors that are in like the green gold from Daniel Smith, which is a fantastic, very bright yellow green that I quite like to work with once in a while. And it's I think it's 2 or 3 pigments in that particular color, and that part of it is big part of the color is nickel azo yellow. So where we have nickel azo yellow here, I need to put some water inside here so we get the watered down version. So oops, did I do that outside of what you could see? I'm not quite sure. I'll do it again. So this is where I put water in, so get the water, the more transparent version, the very light version. Ooh, look at that. See, it's almost looking like that green gold from Daniel Smith. I want to water it down just a little bit more. So that's cobalt blue and nickel azo yellow. I'm quite particular with this, so that's why, I don't want to have you guys watch this all the way through. That would just probably bore you to tears. And the way you learn is by doing it yourself. That's really what it's all about. So there you can see the watered down version, and then here is a full strength version. So I'm gonna mosey on, and I'll touch base with you when I get further along. Alright, so I'm making good progress, and you can see here's a whole row of new combinations with the cobalt blue, which is one of the colors that I added. And then here is the other combination that is new, which is the indigo. But we'll talk more about the colors and why I chose them once I've completed this color chart. As you can see, I think I'm over half done now, so let me carry on. So I'm moving right along, and I am doing the last square on my Hansa Yellow Light color chart part, whatever you want to call it. And here it is with the quinacridone rose. So we have an orange tone that's muted a little bit because of the cool red and cool yellow. And I have already put some water in the little light square over here. So let's get that in. So I have a whole row here of orangey colors, and some of them will be fabulous for skin tones. So this one we actually had in the previous color chart because both these colors are from the original set. But you can see here the quinacridone coral with the Hansa yellow light. That's, you know, just with a few adjustments, that would be a wonderful skin tone. So will this one here with the pale scarlet, or what about this one with the burnt sienna? That's really great skin tones right there. All right. Well, I just wanted to show you how I'm coming along, and I'll see you when I'm done with the chart. All right, job done. I finished the color chart, and I'm really happy with all the wonderful colors that these 12 colors have given me. I have French ultramarine blue, cobalt blue, phthalo blue green shade, indigo. My indigo is from Winsor Newton, and it's because I like that particular indigo the best. Probably mainly because I'm used to working with it. It's a much more blue indigo than the Daniel Smith or the other brands that I've tested out. And so that's why that's a Winsor Newton. The others are Daniel Smith, Hansa Yellow Light, Nickel Azo Yellow, New Gamboge, and Burnt Sienna. That's the second Winsor Newton color that I have on my palette. And same story, Burnt Sienna can look quite different in different brands, and I'm used to using the one from Winsor Newton. I know how it mixes with the other colors, so I prefer it, and especially because it together with the Winsor Newton's indigo, the burnt sienna here and the indigo from Winsor Newton, they will give a beautiful very dark evergreen green, and you can see that here. So that's, if you had a burnt sienna from Daniel Smith, you would get more of a neutral, and the same if you had the indigo, and especially if you had both of them from Daniel Smith, for instance, and some other brands too. It would not have this greenish tint to it. It would be more of a, you know, blackish, grayish, brownish, neutral color that I'm not so crazy about. Anyway, then I have pale scarlet, quinacridone coral, quinacridone rose, and then finally permanent magenta, and that's also a Winsor Newton color. Just because I have it already from Winsor Newton and I like it, and I don't think that this one would make a big difference if it's from a different brand, but I just didn't see the need to go out and buy another permanent magenta when I already have several tubes of it in Winsor Newton. So that's the colors that I have chosen for my new palette, where I used the 6 split primary colors from the Daniel Smith Introductory set, and then I filled out with these additional colors. So my original colors were the French ultramarine blue, phthalo blue green shade, and then we had Hansa Yellow Light and New Gamboge. Then we had Pirate Scarlet and Quinacridone Rose, and the ones I added was Cobalt Blue. I love Cobalt Blue, and I find it hard to work with a palette where I don't have that available to me. I love it for skies, I love it for grays and for softer browns and softer lavenders and colors like that. The next one was the indigo. We already talked about that one, and I love that because it really makes creating rich darks very easy. And then Nickel Azo Yellow, or in Winsor Newton and some other brands it's called transparent yellow. I love. That's my go-to yellow, and I love it because it is a mid-tone yellow. It's you know, kind of in between warm and cool, so it's a good, if you only had one yellow, I think this is a good yellow to have. And I love it especially because it's transparent. The other yellows here, the Hansa Yellow Light and the New Gamboge, those are more opaque, so that's why I added that one on. I just have a hard time working with a palette where I don't have access to a transparent yellow. And then I put burnt sienna, which we already talked about, my Winsor Newton burnt sienna on, because it's a neutral, so it's actually a tertiary color, meaning that it consists of the 3 primary colors. It's mainly red and yellow, and then there's some blue in it to make it into a brown, an orangey brown, so it's kind of a dirty orange. It plays fantastic with both cobalt and French ultramarine blue. Also with the phthalo blue green shade, you get some beautiful dark rich greens, as you can see there, even, you know, really great for evergreens, and some beautiful, even more muted and more rich dark evergreen colors when you mix it with the indigo. And then with cobalt blue and French ultramarine blue, you can get some beautiful browns and grays. Pale Scarlet, Quinacridone Coral is the color I added to the palette. So Pale Scarlet was already there. So Quinacridone Coral is the other color that I added on for an additional red, and this would be kind of the more true red if you compare it to the Pale Scarlet and the Quinacridone Rose, which is my warm red and my cool red in the Daniel Smith set. And I love Quinacridone Coral because it is a transparent color, and you can see it's more true red than the Pale Scarlet, and also more true red than the Quinacridone Rose, which is to the blue side, and that's to the orangey side. And then finally, the last color, number 6 color that I added to the original 6 from the split primary sets, is Permanent Magenta. And the reason I added that on is because it is the best color that I know of to really darken reds, to get the really rich dark reds without them turning too purple or too brown when you mix it in with any of the reds for that matter. Quinacridone Rose, the Pale Scarlet, the Quinacridone Coral, the Quinacridone Rose, and here's the true Permanent Magenta. I mean, any of those are just wonderful mixes when you're painting, especially florals, and you want to get like a really deep, rich red. So there you have it. And as you can see, I did this color chart extra fancy because the true colors, like the pure colors, they're here, and I put that line down, and so you have on one side the darkest version and the other side a light version of the same color. So here it's French Ultramarine Blue, Cobalt Blue, Phthalo Blue, Green Shade, Indigo, Hansa Yellow Light, Nickel Azo Yellow, New Gamboge, Burnt Sienna, Pale Scarlet, Quinacridone Coral, Quinacridone Rose, and then the Permanent Magenta. And then on this side of the chart where we get, like here you have the Cobalt Blue and the French Ultramarine Blue mixed. So here is like the full strength, and then when you go over and find it over here, so here's Cobalt Blue and French Ultramarine Blue. So on this side it's watered down, so these two correspond to each other, and that's how I've done it the whole way. These correspond, etc. So I feel it gives us even more information. So you can see there's definitely wonderful reds, there's wonderful neutrals, there's wonderful greens, there's wonderful purples, and all the colors also look really, really good and are very useful when they are in the paler version. So I think this really, really is a very, very versatile, complete palette. There are a couple of colors that I would miss once in a while, and that would be my Opera Rose, because I just didn't have room for that. And once in a while I also like to use like a teal or turquoise, but I can always add those on for special paintings where I know that those colors would come in handy. And there are other colors that for special paintings you would want to add, but in general, I would say this is a very, very versatile, complete, excellent palette for any subject matter. Now, if you have any questions or you have suggestions, please make sure you list them below, and I will be happy to get back to you with any and all questions you might have. And if you haven't already, I'd really, really appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel. You can do that on the button below. It says subscribe on the below the video on the right hand side, and there's a little bell. If you hit the little bell, then you'll get notifications every time I upload a new video. And as something new, below on the left hand side below the video, there's show more, and if you click on that one, I have a whole bunch of more information for you. And one of the new things that I've added is I have added the materials that I use with links. If you use those links to the supplies, if you want to buy some of the supplies that I mentioned, then I would actually get a little percentage, and it doesn't cost you anything. It's the same price. Anyway, take good care of yourself. Be good to yourself. Get out and get some fresh air. Do a little painting. And those days where you don't feel like much, then be just kind to yourself. Read a good book. Listen to some music. Meditate if you do that. Make sure you get your exercise, stretches, all this. So I will check out now, and I'll see you soon in another video. Bye for now.